So I'm a pretty big Eli Roth fan. History of Horror is one of my favorite shows. I love Cabin Fever. Like, the dude knows how to make a movie. And so my friends always recommended the Hostel series to me, but I've never seen it. So I decided, what the hell. I bought the trilogy at Walmart and spent one night just watching the whole thing. And I gotta admit, I was blown away. The first movie was genius. Like, the guy, it's exactly what you think of like old school horror movies. Is I haven't felt that much fun watching a new horror movie probably since I finally got around to watching the Hatchet movies, which, you know me, I'm also now a huge Adam Green fan. So it had kind of that feel, like the dialogue, the quippiness, very Quentin Tarantino with the random conversations, which makes sense because he produced it. It was just great. Yeah. It had kills, it had suspense. When the movie ended, I was like, what? That's the end? I want more. Like, it's always good when you find a movie that leaves you wanting more. And this movie really did leave you wanting more. So then I put in part 2. And part 2 picks up pretty much right where part 1 leaves off. And getting into some spoil territory here, they flirted with the trope that has been done in other movies. Friday the 13th did it, where you have your hero who survives the first movie, and then you kill him off like that. And that's where it seemed to go. And I was like, oh, don't do that. And then, oh, they pulled the rug out from you. It was a dream. They didn't do that. And then you're like, oh, okay, good. So it's not just going to pull the rug out under us. He's not just going to die again. You know, this movie's about him. It's probably the second horror franchise after Evil Dead where it's not about the killer. It's about the survivor, you know? And then they pulled the rug out from under you. Why am I talking about second? Scream did that. Okay, but you know what I mean. But they pull the rug out from under you again because he does die in the beginning of the movie, just not when you think. And then it follows a new set of characters. And this time we follow some of the storyline of the killers as well and see their backstory. And it's everything you want a sequel to be. You know, because a good sequel takes up where the first one left off and adds to it without detracting from it. A lot of sequels try to either remake the first one or does something that just contradicts everything in the first one. And this sequel didn't do it. It added to the first one. It helped flesh out that world in a fun and interesting way. It's exactly what you want from a sequel. And then there's the third one that doesn't look like Eli Roth really had anything to do. And when watching the second one, I thought, you know what would be interesting is if they kidnapped someone who was part of their club. And the third one does that. And it was not nearly as I don't understand why they made choices they made execution-wise. First of all, they moved the movie to Las Vegas, which just felt weird. It's been this one hostel in this one place. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere. They brought people there. You had a real small town vibe to it. Well, it would make sense. They moved it to Las Vegas. Yes, there's a lot of tourists there, but it's also one of the busiest places in the world. It seems like a lot more likely to get caught in Las Vegas than it did. You know what I mean? Like, it was weird. The beginning, though, the first opening scene was genius. It plays with your expectations, twists them, turns it. It's one of the best cold opens to a movie I've seen in a long time, so that was great. And then even the plot and the acting wasn't bad throughout the rest of the movie. It made weird choices that seemed like they were only doing it to have twists, and it didn't really service the movie. You could have done it in a more interesting, more organic way. It was good, but it was kind of disappointing after the first two. But it was still worth a watch. So if you have the time, if you haven't already seen it, you should definitely go check out the Hostel movies. Alright, give us legends.